Good evening. This is the Walpole Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. I want to welcome a new board secretary, Josh. Forgot your last name.
Baker.
Baker?
Yeah, Josh
Okay,
Baker.
Josh Baker. So he will be handling you're going to handle the
Yeah.
computer? Oh, very good. Okay. Good enough. Town of Walpole amended order of conditions, Conservation Commission public hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, notice hereby given the intent of Howard Stein Hudson /FRH Realty LLC and 55SS LLC to amend the approved order of conditions DP number 3151227 at 55 Summer Street, Walpole, Mass. For modifications to the previously approved development plan, including reduction of wetland impact and reduction of the development footprint within the 100-foot buffer zone. The amended order of conditions, application of plans on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in person July 12, 2023, beginning 7 p.m. On which the person who has to be present here has been opened and continued. We have a letter dated September 27th from the town engineer. He's reviewed the plans and discussed the infiltration system design modifications with their project lead, Patrick Bogle, PE. I have also discussed the project with the agent and agree the planned course of action and comfort level with the changes, additions. Performing test pits appear to be an outstanding item, which the designer has committed to performing next week. I do not object to the board closing the hearing and moving on with whatever conditions I see fit remain available. Okay. There's a letter here from Howard Stein Hudson dated September 25th. I assume you're going to cover that in your presentation?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
representing the applicant?
So just hold on, so that letter is in everybody's packet, just to let you know. You have a small copy of just the revised sheets, and then there's also large copies distributed for you guys to share. And then I also put out the full set in small, in case you want to refer back to that.
Oh, here are the small ones.
I'm David Hale, representing the applicant. I'm here with Patrick Bogle from Howard Stein Hudson and John Shipe, who represents Fairfield.
So yeah, we can go through the changes. Again, I can come up to the board and present them in front of you. So last time we were here, we discussed the replication areas and combining the two different pieces.
Just show them.
Oh, sorry. And combining the two different pieces so that it was further away from the development. So previously we had replication areas that were here, and that's the same on the other crossing. They were here and here. So basically what we've done is we've combined them, lumped them together in each grouping, so you have a combined amount here. This is further away from the development, so it will have less ability to be any sort of disturbance or anything. And then the same on the other side, we have a grouping here, which is closer on the eastern side, whereas the development is primarily on the western side. Again, just the groupings are clustered together per the replication kind of requirements, and those are detailed in the detail sheets, which are on the third, they're towards the back of the packet.
What sheet are you going to talk?
So it's going to go to C64, which is the It's the sheet you have, which details these replication areas, showing that we have the replication areas of 1.5 to 1, same as they were before, but they're just grouped together instead of separated out on either side of the crossing. So that should cover the replication areas, and hopefully that satisfies what we were discussing in the last meeting. Other than that, we had a comment from the peer review, Tetra Tech peer review, which was still kind of asking to maintain that 6 inches of storage prior to the spilling over from the isolator row. So we've, instead of having a elevated manifold, we went to a weir controlled and then just gained that 6 inches exactly on every single Storm Tech. So it's just basically a small change of, instead of having an elevated manifold, we went to a weir control with a bottom manifold. It's just a different orientation of how Storm Tech does their manifolds. Again, maintaining that 6 inches of storage to do that first flush and that water quality volume. And as Carl's letter states, he's reviewed that and he's comfortable, I believe he says, in that letter. And those are on the sheets. Starting on C58, and it'll be 58, 59, 60, and 61, I believe, because it's 4 in a row. And you can see the elevations that are detailed in the system details, and that's for each one, and all the information is listed on the plan there. So
Patrick, just to describe it a little bit better, so
Sure.
the issue that was brought up was with the ISO.
the isolator row, which is basically, it's a pre-treatment system, and that's how you get your TSS, meaning your stormwater requirements. It's basically a first flush. When you have that first storm that comes in, it diverts into this. The chamber is lined with additional fabric to capture that sediment, and prior to the weir overflowing into the rest of the manifold, which will then capture the overflow volumes for your larger storms, your 10, your 25, your 50, your 100 year, and then that's all outlet controlled through the rest of the Storm Tech infiltration system.
With the elevation, so that there was enough space for sediments that went in, that there wouldn't be any greater than 50% sediments, which is a requirement of the stormwater standards.
Yeah, basically that's a good explanation. So all that has been satisfied on these plans, and that's shown and detailed for every single system that we have on the site.
Is it shown, excuse me, is it shown in the drawing where these are located?
So these are kind of the blow-up views.
Yeah.
The other packet, which I believe each of you have, that's going to be
This one.
that's going to be that packet there. They're shown throughout the grading and drainage plans. I think is C19 to 24, as well as they're outlined within all the layout materials plans. There are several different sheets where you can see them all throughout the plans. Yeah.
Okay.
So just to clarify, in the amendment, there is a new infiltration basin. And then the infiltration units, now, did you redesign one under the amendment, or it was just brought up because the peer review kind of looked at the whole site to some extent?
So the adjustment was strictly basically a construction detail.
Yeah.
So the footprint of all the existing ones that isn't subject to the modification was just like adjustments to manifolds or weir controlled inlets and stuff like that. So the footprint has remained the same, whereas the proposed ones, we had a couple adjustments to the infiltration rate per some agreements that the peer reviewer and I had as far as maintaining the infiltration rates for the soils, which we went over in the last meeting, and then this one was the inlet control was weir controlled, and then that's been put for all the Storm Techs.
But for the amendment, it's really only an additional new infiltration basin.
Yeah, it's the infiltration basin, and then you have the 2 Storm Techs for the Lot 2 building, yeah.
Anything else then?
Nope.
I have a
Well,
question.
we will. We got Landis?
I pretty much already asked my questions as you went along, just so I could pull things out that I thought the commissioners would want a little more detail on, but other than the soil test, which I think the town engineer addressed, and I also addressed in my report that I think everything else has been covered with the plan, with the change in the building configuration. It made more sense to move the replication area to one side. They did that. They redesigned it so it's on one side, and there's details of the plantings and everything on the plan. And then they added the trail, little trail going up past the basin, to the basin. So I think everything's been addressed.
Okay. Dean?
No questions.
Haley?
No questions.
Doug?
Yeah, just one question. The geotextile fabric, I assume that requires preventative maintenance, or doesn't it? What's the longevity of that?
Are you talking about the fabric that is on the isolator row? So that will stay in place throughout the life of the system. The isolator row itself will be cleaned. There's inspection ports within the isolator row, so you just view within the inspection port if it reaches 3 inches or more. Typically, when it reaches 3 inches, so there'll be a maintenance schedule for this, which there's been included in your package. You'll clean it out with it's basically a reverse vac, a reverse hose. It squishes it out, and then you suck it out. So it cleans out the sediment when it reaches 3 inches or greater. And but no, the geotextile is going to be maintained within the system underground for the life of the system.
What's the longevity of that geotextile?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but it should meet or exceed the life of the system, which is these are not designed to be uprooted and replaced.
Okay.
Medio?
I'm looking at C12, I see the storm tech systems. Are these the ones the locations we're referring to?
Yes, those are so these are the blow-ups of those.
1,
Yep.
2, 3, 4, okay. All right. In the replication areas, what is the ratio of, is it 1.5 to?
1.5 to 1. Yep.
Okay, that's all I've got.
Al?
Okay, so now, we have inspection ports, but according to this drawing, it looks like they're tiny. What's the size of that? Can a guy go down in there, or what?
So the inspection port is actually only a 6-inch port. You basically just open up the top and you look down.
You can't even get a vac truck machine to get anything in a 6-inch hole. How are you gonna clean it through that hole?
You actually clean it through the manhole itself. So it's basically like a broom almost,
So
and you
that
put
whole
it in.
length, that whole length gets cleaned from that one manhole?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the inspection port is just to view how much sediment is in the system. Yeah,
Okay.
and then it's reverse flushed
Now, I
from the
notice on
manhole.
some of these systems, there's a manhole at each end. How come there's no manhole at both ends on this one that you have up there?
Because that's because you don't want this to go into the rest of the system. This is to trap the sediment. It's double lined with fabric. The water will be able to go into the rest of the system, but the sediment will be trapped in. It's got an end cap at the end, whereas these have manifolds on both sides if you have a dual inlet, and then it will be able to flow freely throughout the whole system.
And do you remember how often somebody is supposed to look in those inspection ports?
I believe our schedule says twice a year for maintenance.
And if it builds up to 3 inches, you say, then they have to clean it out?
Yep.
Okay. Because I don't have much faith in the fabric staying open very long. My experience has been that fabric clogs up pretty fast. So I would expect that if they don't sweep the areas often, there'll be a lot of sediment get into that isolator row and need to be cleaned often. Okay. That's all I have, Jack.
That's it?
Well, I thought Doug was gonna ask, so what's the life of the system?
Well, I kind of wondered that.
Okay, well, let's ask.
Yeah, that's a good question.
This is designed to exceed the life of the development.
What's the life of a development? What do you guys think of, I mean, life of a development? I live in like a house that was built in 1875, so in a neighborhood that was established then, so what do you think the life of a development is? Not that it's our jurisdiction, don't worry, Landison.
No,
I would think
Probably well over 100 years.
100 years.
as part of the operation maintenance manual, that if that does need replacement, it's covered, that that's the owner's responsibility to replace it. Is there anything specific in the O&M manual that would cover things like this that are long-term? I don't know what else they would do. I mean, if they,
I mean, it would probably be under like a manufacturer's. I'm not sure on a manufacturer's warranty or anything like that, but we'd have
75 years website.
75 years on the website for the ADS's website.
but and the development would be longer in existence than that, I would think, that then when it's replaced, it's then the current owner's responsibility, since there won't be a homeowners association with this, is that correct?
No, there will be no association
It's
because
the owner's,
it's just an apartment complex, so there's just a single owner.
okay.
Oh,
So whoever is the owner at the time is their responsibility to,
right, and, I mean, these things are all over the place. This is really not a particular new design. And we do always write in the conditions that they're required to maintain the stormwater management
Yeah.
system. I mean, I'm not sure if we always continue that, but we continue it, and it's, I mean, if it backs up, if it clogs up with sediment and starts backing up, it's gonna cause a problem, so
so I think that
it
would
needs to be repaired.
be covered from that. A question on this, anything else?
no,
Betsy?
that's it.
On your drawing, sheet C58, it says on your detail that there's an optional inspection port. I assume that the piece, above that, above the cross-section, or the cross-section of the, whatever we're calling this place, the isolator, it says optional inspection port.
Yeah, so this is, so this is one of a standard detail, but yes, so the inspection ports, which are laid out here, were
It's
laid
only-
out by the manufacturer's guidance, so I actually,
Not optional. This inspection port is not optional, it is included.
yes, these are the included locations of the inspection ports, so I actually had this sent to the manufacturer, and they gave me the specific locations that they wanted to see them.
Just want to delete the word optional on there.
Sure, I can remove that word, yeah.
And, yeah, I guess you answered the other question, how you actually clean this, so you did explain that, so, okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record. Hearing none. We'll make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll move.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, 700.
Can you just
Oh.
say who first and who
Betsy moved, Al seconded. We'll try to do it that way. Sometimes we do.
Everybody's,
That's okay. I think they're so used to it. She's like, at auction, they're like,
okay,
How
thank
many
you.
total units are there? I forget.
switch, and we
How many
know.
total units in
We
this?
try to do it that way, so I'll let you
268,
know if we
okay, all right,
don't.
thank you.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
Thank you.
So you closed the hearing.
Okay, now what are we gonna do for,
So it's an amended order of conditions.
right,
I have a couple suggested conditions, being that, well, one, putting a sign at the basin 3 that for deposit dog waste bags and trash receptacle and not in the stormwater basin, to remind people. And that the isolator rows shall be cleaned so as to assure that sediments do not accumulate greater than 50% of the depth. This is a little redundant, but I put it in there anyways. And then just, both the town engineer and I are recommending if the issue tonight, that we would just, vote on it tonight, we wouldn't issue it until after they do the soil test, which it's gonna be soon, sounds like.
okay? Anything else?
Nothing else that I came up with, so just to remind everybody, the order of conditions that was issued on this project is still the order, it's still the issuance date, still the date that it'll expire, and this is just amends that, so these additional conditions will just amend the existing order of conditions, they don't replace it.
Okay. So, someone make a motion to, for these conditions to be added to the amendment.
Move that.
Second.
That was
Thank you.
Betsy and Al.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so 700.
So you voted to amend that order.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you'll be starting activity on the site soon, or what's your plan?
Hopefully next week.
Okay.
So, we have a meeting Monday morning?
You wanna come up and introduce yourself for me
Sorry.
through the mic and just?
Yep. I'm John Shipe, I'm with Fairfield Residential, and I believe that our construction team has spoken with you, Lannis, and we're revisiting all of the things that we submitted in October prior to the last time we did a little field work, and we want to start work next week, clearing and constructing the beginning portion of the roadway on the site. And I think we're meeting here Monday around 10 o'clock.
Right, so I did talk to Dan, and then after he sent the meeting reply, I realized that it's gonna be a whole team, so it won't just be
I won't
Dan
come
with
if
a-
you don't want me to.
I don't mind, this is a, roll your sleeves up and get into the order meeting, so,
It is that meeting, right? Yeah.
yes, definitely. Just wanna go through some of the conditions, and I was a little concerned, well, because one of the conditions is that work within the resource area or within buffer zone, within jurisdiction of the commission should occur during dry season. Now,
Yeah.
October, November is not dry season, so
Right.
we'll just have to talk a little bit about what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it, and make sure that, the areas that are in the jurisdiction of the order of conditions, compromised.
Right.
We've
I
had
think
projects
it's a
that-
good meeting. As you know, Dan was not here in the fall.
Yep,
Joe Carlton was. Joe's still very involved.
Yep.
So it's a good opportunity to make sure that, we all want to make sure that Dan is aware of everything that we submitted previously. A fair amount of the work will actually be in the upland, for October, November. We'll be approaching some of the lower areas, but we could do our best to avoid the wet spots. And it was a good opportunity to revisit a lot of things that we submitted last time. There may be some minor adjustments just to, due to the time of the year and our schedule. So I look forward to meet with you. I asked Patrick if he could come, and he was a little bit busy, but I thought maybe we could handle most of the questions, right?
I don't see why not.
Yeah. So, good. Looking forward to working with everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
You have anything to sign?
This is something that you'll do when you're up to.
Big project, huh?
So, that we just have a folder. Sheets for
How long does it take?
signatures.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Soup to nuts, I didn't ask that question.
One goes to the applicant, one we
Yeah, I
keep
didn't-
in case they lose it. Because that keeps them happy.
268 units total, they said.
Yeah,
So
so,
If
they'll
they have a
sign
lot of
it
people on site, it can go right up.
Yeah.
when it gets processed in the office.
Those big rocks, remember those big rock outcroppings, are they keeping
Yeah.
that? Or is it- Yeah.
I don't know.
I looked on the,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, yeah,
yeah, that,
yeah.
What?
The giant rock outcroppings, are they keeping those or what? Remember there were giant rock?
The ones that are in the riverfront area, yes.
Okay, good.
yeah, they're
Because
closer
that
to
would
the
be hard to
back,
deal
the
with.
back of the,
Because they're not gonna be working in the riverfront
Yeah.
area.
right.
Okay. On the forms, we need to change Al
Okay.
and
Oh,
Betsy.
is that an
Yeah.
old one?
Yeah. Have you
Okay.
got- You have a new one, or we just,
No, it's,
what do we do, just cross that off then?
Yeah, I'll just fix it in the office, if you
Yep.
don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go with these. The old ones are out.
The old one.
we signed one.
oh, gosh. All right.
Hey, why don't, I'm gonna make you do it again, sorry. I
Okay.
do have another copy, so just give me that one back.
Okay.
I apologize. So this one just doesn't have, vice chairman, so we'll just get rid of that.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to add your title on here.
Yeah.
You have anything to put up for the next?
No, it's gonna be continued.
Yeah, I just got it. Got it today.
Use an Android cord, I heard it
Up to date.
You can say it again?
An Android charger
Why not, you don't fry it?
overheats. I also have, not that you would try that.
We need something to read.
Because I have a
So
ton of
this is
Android
gonna
chargers.
This is continued.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. 11 Pro, so it's very different.
All right, I've got all this paperwork. Do we have a, here it is.
Big screen.
Nice.
I recommend it.
Town of Walpole Notice of Intent Conservation Commission Public Hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of John and Ellen Serhan, 410 North Street, map 17, lot 71, Walpole, Mass., to construct proposed driveway within the 100-foot buffer zone. Notice of intent application and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above will be held in person September 13th, 2023, beginning at 7:30 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. And is this the, well, this
No, that was
the
the
one,
first
this is
one.
the first one, we
I might have
continued.
forgot to print, but they had sent me an email asking to continue to October 11th.
So the applicant has requested continuation until October 11th,
You missed it.
and we had,
7:30.
at 7:30, do we have something else on?
Yeah, we
I
have.
thought we had some,
Yeah, we have 2 hearings. Oh, we have 3 hearings.
Do we have that written down?
We have, I don't get it. I forgot to put them on. I forgot to put the hearings on the agenda.
Okay, so what are our
But
hearings?
We have the continuation of South Street, so I'm pretty sure it's 7, and at 7:15, we have the Washington Street culvert, and we have the League School, so it should be more like at 7:45.
Okay, so someone make that a motion to continue this until 7:45 on October 11th?
Second.
So that's 410 North Street, continue to 7:45
Yes.
on October 11th.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
700. So, but we do have more hearings, then. Okay.
Okay, we have, Kohler? We have Joey Fonseca here from Bowler Engineering. And I suggested that he come in and just sort of bring the commission up to date with they're going to be putting in a Chick-fil-A at the Walpole Mall. And in the past, there had been an order of conditions issued for the redevelopment of the site back in 2007, where the stormwater management system was upgraded and additional pads were put in areas of the parking lot. And this will affect the stormwater a bit, but it's my understanding that it won't change it. But I wanted Mr. Fonseca to come in to update the commission. Just, I didn't feel like it needed a filing, but if the commission feels like it does, I wanted him to explain to you what exactly they were doing.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Joey Fonseca. I'm with Bowler. And I have plans that I wanted to share on the screen that might just help illustrate and kind of get everyone up to speed. I don't know if it's possible to connect my laptop or I can give you yours.
If it's easier for you to.
Would you rather sit along here
Yeah, you can
than?
come over here, you just have to bring the microphone over.
Yeah, I'll do it over here.
Bring your mic as well.
Oh.
You can just carry your
I
microphone.
can, this is.
Okay, you
as
go
long as
from
my-
there?
Oh, this won't work.
Oh,
It's too far.
Oh, no, it's working.
Can this, does my mouse work?
Yeah.
Oh, it
yeah.
does. All right.
Okay.
That'll work. There we go. Okay, all right, so this Chick-fil-A was permitted back in, I believe it was 2018. And we were basically through the building permit phase, and Chick-fil-A decided to pause construction for this location. So in the interim, they've renegotiated with the current owners, and there have been some layout changes since 2018 that Chick-fil-A has done to their sites. So this plan, this new layout that I'm going to present, can I take this, like the mic over?
Yep,
there?
yep.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good, it's all good. I'm gonna be one of the members today.
Just sworn in first.
So we all know the location of where this was being proposed, but in case you didn't, in the orange there, it's in between the GameStop and the Aspen Dental buildings here. I'll zoom in a little bit closer. Here, it's currently just a paved parking area with a trash enclosure closer to Route 1, and the mall being behind the site. This is just more of a kind of a close-up of the area, and then just kind of a street view image of where it is right now. So again, it's just fully paved, and it's just parking there. In 2018, this was the layout that was permitted and approved, and so it had just a building there shown, kind of that tan color, and then you get the drive-through, two-lane entrance to a single lane pickup lane, and then you pick up on the side of the building, kind of right here where it's a service window, and then you'd exit. And that was the previous approval. With that approval came some drainage modifications to the site. This portion of the parking area in here, there's a large subsurface, I think they're all 36-inch perforated ADS pipe that's located within the, underneath that parking area. It's a pretty large system that's basically located within this parking area. And there's other systems beyond it, but this one was impacted by, obviously, the Chick-fil-A development in 2018. At the time, Norwood Engineering did the site plans for this development, and had prepared a plan that was approved, that, and this is gonna be a little bit confusing, but this plan, there's a lot going on here. But this was a plan that was submitted by Norwood Engineering with the full submittal package that was approved, that kind of detailed out the areas of the system that were going to be removed and where they were being relocated to on site to replicate that volume that was being lost. So what I've done is kind of highlighted this a little bit. I'm gonna zoom in just to make it a little bit clearer. Hopefully you can see the colors. So as you can see, this is the layout that I just showed you. So the building is situated here. I'm just kind of outlining it with my mouse. And you can kind of see where this large drainage system is located underneath that parking area. So per the 2008 approval, in red are the drain lines that were going to be removed. Basically, they're being removed underneath the building areas, underneath the drive-through areas, just anywhere that might require maintenance. And Chick-fil-A was concerned that, you know, if there was any maintenance being performed, obviously the building, there couldn't be anything underneath it, but in the drive-through, it would impact, you know, their drive-through operation. So in red were the pipes that were going to be removed and relocated. I'll get to that. In green were the pipes that were going to remain. So part of the development, a portion of the site, the pipes were to remain as they exist on site today. And Norwood had already coordinated with engineering and with the town staff as well to locate areas within the parking area through soil testing where they could relocate all that volume to. So again, this plan was already previously prepared. It was approved, and it dealt with the relocation of that volume that was being dispersed just due to this development. So fast forward 5 years, Chick-fil-A has now looked at this location, and since 2018, there's been many changes with the Chick-fil-A prototype. A lot of it came from COVID. Their drive-throughs were obviously very busy, like all drive-throughs were during that time, and they made some modifications to their drive-through operations to increase efficiency throughout. So this plan, although it is similar to the prior approval, there are a few changes, which is mostly pertaining to the two-lane drive-through. So the previous had two-lane entrance to a single lane out. Now with all Chick-fil-A new developments, they take what's called a 2-2 approach, which is two-lane entrance and a two-lane exit, and that allows them to, you know, take orders. I'm not sure if you've been to a Chick-fil-A, but there's team members out there during their peak times taking orders and delivering orders, so they're able to really increase the efficiency of the drive-through orders and really get customers through there quickly. And this facilitates that. So there are a few changes. Obviously, that second outside lane there is different from the prior approval. What that did was it pushed the one-way lane that was just north of the drive-through before it pushes that north, and it removes the parking that was along Route 1 previously. And I can flip back so you can see that difference. This is the prior layout. So again, there was angled parking, one-way, drive aisle, and then the drive-through lane itself. And with the current layout, you've got obviously that second lane expansion, so now we've removed that parking, and you still have the one-way flow there. So traffic flow is very similar to what the prior approval was. The other change was the trash enclosure location. So under the previous approval, the trash enclosure was way off-site, which wasn't ideal, but it was the only location that, I think there was like third-party approvals here that would allow the trash enclosure to be located. So now with the deal being renegotiated, they were able to get the trash enclosure closer to the building, which is much better for their team members to access for safety reasons. But what that did was it put that over a portion of that underground system that was there. So really, the only change to the drainage system from the prior to this is really relocating about 200 linear feet of piping. And this kind of highlights that again. Again, I know this is a little bit confusing, but wanted to try to color it up so it's a little bit easier to see. But again, this kind of shows that previous graphic where the pipes were being removed. It's all the pipes that were going to be removed. It's similar to the prior layout, with the only difference being where this trash enclosure is here. These pipes would be removed, and in place of that, we're adding an additional 100-foot, 36-inch line, and then this line in here along the drive-through that was previously going to be removed, we're going to keep that in place. So the 200 feet that was being removed within this trash enclosure is being put back. So we're not losing any volume within that system. And the rest of the improvements that are off-site that was previously approved by Nord Engineering, all of that remains intact. So the volumes all remain prior to the old approval. So in summary, it's a similar development. The drainage modifications that were previously approved, all of that is going to carry forward with this application. And as a bonus, this increases the landscaped area by about 1,300 square feet versus that old, the prior layout. So in total, I think we're gaining about 7,000 square feet of additional pervious. So we're removing all that surface along with, modifying the system. So the drainage system will still remain and operate as it is today, albeit just in separate locations. So that's just kind of quick, high level. I know that these graphics might be a little confusing, but try to make it as clear as possible.
Good, thank you. Landis, anything you want to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is you keep on saying previously approved. So when you say previously approved, it went through site plan
Correct.
review. So I don't remember it going through Concom.
No, I don't think it did.
I don't think it did.
I don't believe,
So-
so Nord Engineering at the time did that, and they sent us all their approvals, and we
Yeah.
needed all that for building permit application. That Concom wasn't part of that.
Right, but when it first went in 2007, when they put the pads in for the buildings up front, Panda Express and all those other buildings, that's when it went through Concom. They did a redevelopment of the stormwater system. They put in those pads. They filled in some of the wetlands next to the Panda Express. They did a replication area.
Okay.
And because of all that, and the stormwater discharging to that wetlands and then going underground Route 1 and into the Travel Brook, it was all of the stormwater and the redevelop upgrade was all under that order of conditions. So that's why I just wanted to make sure that this, and it sounds like that the storage, the water quality components and the volume is all the same, and as it was back in 2007, so it sounds like it is, so that's why I just wanted to
Yeah.
have you come here and
Sure.
just go through that. make sure.
Yeah, so it was all coordinated, and I believe Nord coordinated that with city engineer as well, because there was test pits that were done out there just to make sure that they had the separation and everything for there, so.
And with the stormwater going to an underground system, what's the pre-treatment prior to going into the underground system?
So I know that there are deep sump catch basins with hoods out there today, And I think that's the water, I'm not sure if there was any,
Storm scepters.
for the amended site plan approval that was done in 2018, the only stormwater upgrades that were done at that point were just deep sump catch basins to collect the stormwater in there, because all of this currently just ran towards the curb and then hit the catch basin. So I believe those, I don't think that any storm scepters were proposed at that time. And again, this is really just kind of keeping that same theme, and reducing impervious coverage with this new layout. So the same theme would continue here with deep sump hooded catch basins for water quality.
Anything else, Landis? Okay. Dean?
Are you guys gonna do any of the testing of the 36-inch after you destroy it? Of the remaining?
Testing.
So
how do you
you
mean?
were going to cut a bunch of the 36-inch out. Are you gonna test the viability of the pipes at all?
It should be evaluated at the time of construction, because those, like the sections of piping that are gonna be cut out, especially underneath the building, those will all have to be capped at the end. So that's all part of the construction, means and methods there. So I think once the system is exposed, I haven't seen this system. I'm not sure what kind of condition it's in. So, I think that's gonna be, and that's, from the prior amended site plan approval, I think that was one big item that, maybe hadn't been explored, from the prior, owners here. So I think, moving forward now, I think we've got a game plan, we've got a plan that had been developed, so I think the idea is, once this gets unearthed, they'll understand, what kind of condition that pipe's in, and if there's more that needs to get replaced, then they're gonna have to get replaced, so, because we need to maintain the storage out here.
So all of the drainage, roof drainage, all the drainage in the pavement's all gonna be controlled in your additional storm centers, or, sorry, your
Correct.
plans?
Correct, yep.
All right.
Yeah, because, as I said, this is all 100% paved today,
Yeah.
so even though we're, I believe it's 1-for-1, the volume that's being dispersed in other areas to capture it, there's still, I think there's about 8,000 square feet of impervious coverage that's being.
So it's not like
removed,
you're taking down a field, it's
Correct.
already asphalt?
Correct.
Yeah, so all the water's being retained now, all, right? Yeah, it has an up-to-code stormwater system, so, okay.
No questions.
When it was built. When was it? When was the Walpole Mall built? In the 80s or 90s?
I don't know, but it was back in 2007 that they did a pretty major redevelopment of the site, and added stormwater components.
No more questions, thank you.
Mall's been there quite a while.
What?
The mall's been
The
there.
mall's been there for
Yeah.
quite a while,
Yeah.
yes.
Would be
yes.
built
Yeah, yeah.
It was there in the 80s.
I think a lot of the, I guess Al may know, a lot of the stormwater was just held in the parking lot.
Yeah, there were dips in the parking lot that were supposed to hold the water for a while.
Prior to
Well,
the infiltration
That was
system.
the
That was your
technology at
water
that
quality
time.
volume, yeah.
So, Doug?
Does this impact the provisions for storage of snow that's been plowed and removed from the parking lots?
So this will, with the additional landscape area, so there'll be some opportunities there to lose some of the snow, the snow that's being removed here. I imagine that all of this parking in and around here will just be removed. I'm not sure how they handle it today out there, but I assume that Chick-fil-A will have an operation in place that it's either gonna get removed or the landlord identifies where, the snow is stored on site. I'm not sure where it is stored today, if it's behind the mall building, or not, but it will have to be, it'll have to be coordinated with the property owners.
Okay.
Media?
The piping that you're describing is part of the infiltration
Correct.
system, so the storm drains connect to these, okay.
Correct. Yeah, this portion of it, I mean, this property is huge, but yeah, this portion of it's taking in, this area, so, of the mall.
Okay. And it's 1-for-1 replacement?
It is, yeah, and that's how, so they had to relocate it throughout, so I think they encountered some groundwater, so, they have smaller diameter pipes to make sure they had the clearance. So all of that's been previously, designed and approved. We're just kind of taking that design again and and implementing it with a new Chick-fil-A layout, so.
Thank you.
But the overall stormwater approach is the same, yep.
I'm assuming that the catch basins in the area have environmental hoods to prevent oil from draining out. When you are servicing those, I will expect that if the hoods are damaged, they get replaced and brought up to standards.
Correct, yeah, they're not floating in the basin, yeah, they'll
Yeah.
be, they'll make sure that they're inspected, it's part of the O&M as well out there for.
Okay, so that's my only concern, is that we see a sheen going across parking lots, and everybody just says, oh, it's a pretty rainbow, but that's oil that's going somewhere, and we want to make sure that it gets
Sure.
trapped in these catch basins and doesn't go any further. So that's, to me, that's more important than some other things. That's all I have.
No comment.
Okay, is there anything that says that when you are taking out the old pipes, that what is existing will be inspected? And just check to see that it's performing the way it's supposed to?
No, but obviously, that's certainly something we can work with the contractors on. I think it's gonna be closely coordinated with the city engineer as well, so I think once it is uncovered, knowing what the condition of the pipe is, and if there's, any material in the pipe today, I mean, that hopefully doesn't get in there from the construction activities, that, they can monitor and understand where, if any pipes have failed.
Landis, do we know if the town engineer would be involved with this?
I would think so.
I
Basically,
don't
what,
believe so, because it's a short site plan review or what is
Yeah.
it with it. So it's not going before the planning board or any other board. I do know that, that the Walpole Mall management has been one of our best responsive people as far as doing annual cleaning of the stormwater management system. So when I started reaching out to venues to have them provide us with reports, they've done so.
because basically, at this point, there's no hearing, an official hearing
That's correct.
for the
Right.
Conservation Commission.
Not unless you want to tell them they need to.
Well, my only
But-
concern is that when they do remove whatever's coming out, you'll have some exposure to is existing and what will remain, that is inspected to see if it's functioning properly. So how do we
Right, well, we
How do we
could.
go about doing that?
We could, unless you have another suggestion, but we could just write a letter to the building commissioner who's gonna do,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
issue the permit that we would
okay.
recommend that.
I
yeah.
mean, that would just some way that we cover that.
Something in writing is what you were looking for, yeah.
So, okay, if you can
I think that's fair.
just do that, then you'll,
So an inspection of the
yeah, and
existing,
I would copy the
Piping.
applicant or the owner of the mall. That is, just so that they're aware of our concern.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone on the commission think that we should require a hearing?
No.
Okay, so I don't think we need to get a formal hearing going. So we appreciate your coming in
Sure.
and talking to us, and that I assume you will be involved with the development as it goes on. And that you carry our thoughts along, that is followed through.
Any additional water quality components you want to put in, it's always a
Sure.
plus.
Good enough, thank you.
All right, you're welcome, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know Chick-fil-A is excited to finally start construction here, so I think it's supposed to start, I think they're gearing up to try to start in the spring, so the current owners, they'll be doing what's considered pad prep, so they'll be out there, getting things ready for Chick-fil-A to mobilize, so hopefully they'll be out there in spring, so.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's see. It's our agenda. Do we have any, let me hear someplace. Here we go. Certificates compliance, anybody ready?
No, at this point, the ones that are still on our agenda, Pennington Crossing, still trying to work with them to bring the water quality swale number 2 up to specs. I went out there today and I noticed they had a bunch of stakes out along the swale. So they're planning on redoing it. It was supposed to be planted with water-tolerant plants, and it's supposed to have a certain depth of impermeable soil. And it looks like it just has a bunch of muck at the bottom, so it doesn't look like it's draining at all, and there's no plants, so that needs to be brought up to spec. Pine Acres, which is the subdivision off of North Street, I'm still waiting for their letter that the lot that obtains the underground infiltration system is aware that they have to maintain it once the certificate of compliance is issued, or if there's a homeowners association that will be maintaining the stormwater system. There seems to be a little confusion over that. And the same thing with Boyden Estates as well. I've asked Mr. Petrozzi to provide me with the document as required by DEP's condition that we be notified of that the new party responsible for the stormwater management is aware that they're responsible for the stormwater management, and all that I received was the homeowners, the requirement that the lot owners have to be part of the homeowners association. But what I need is that whoever is part of the homeowners association is aware that part of their responsibility is to maintain the system. Waiting for those. And then lot 6, number 15, is the lot where there was a slight overfill and there's no alteration plaques. So that has not.
They haven't put those in yet?
No, we need to put that in there.
I would think that would be also part of the certificate of compliance for the subdivision, not just the lot, but also for the subdivision, that we wouldn't give the certificate of compliance for the subdivision until they get all those plaques in.
Well, what we had informed him before, that he needed as-built for each of the lots that showed the roof drainage for the lots, the infiltration units for the roof drainage, because that was part of the calculations for the stormwater management system. I don't think it included the plaques, because I don't think the order of conditions for Boyden Estates included plaques. Plaques are under the individual
For
notes
the,
of intents.
for the lots.
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we send him another note stating the requirements for both of these order of conditions, and at least the Boyden Lane, that if it doesn't get it, it'll be denied, and then I've been sending the requirements also to the homeowner, because the lot's been sold for quite a while, so the homeowner should have a stake in getting the certificate of compliance, and if they don't, then whenever they're gonna sell or refinance, they're gonna have to go back and do it.
Can they, has the town accepted the road yet?
Not yet.
So will this hold it up?
The COC should hold it up, yes.
Okay.
So when the snow comes, it's not gonna get plowed?
No, he wants an acceptance of the street, and he wants a release of the bond.
But if it doesn't happen,
Well, the release of the bond is really the thing, because the town holds his money,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Well, just so long as they keep holding it till we get these things
I'm
completed.
just wondering if it goes all the way to I mean, if it gets delayed for months, that's all.
If it gets delayed, well, the town will still plow it, honestly, Betsy. I mean,
Okay.
they plow roadways that are privately owned.
Okay,
Because
all right.
it just,
So the fire
Happens
trucks
with
can
this.
get there, yeah.
yeah,
Just so long as they keep the bond.
it's a liability issue.
Okay. Okay. Enforcement orders, anything new on these?
No, there's no one from Plimpton Street. So, 139 Plimpton Street, he was supposed to get me a revised plan for plantings, because the plan that was submitted and approved had large trees that were down the slope, and I did go out there, and it would be very difficult to get those trees planted down the slope. When you're out in the field, you can see, so what I told him is to put, that he could put maybe a few less trees, but up on the slope, so that they're easier to plant. I mean, if you go out there, if you wanna go out there, Betsy, you look at me, you can see, well, it would take much more, it would make much more damage to go down the slope near the pond
Oh, I'm
and
agreeing
plant
with you.
trees, okay, yeah.
It's
then
just that
put
the
something
original
above.
reason for clearing it was for the view, right? And
Well,
the
right, so
large
it
trees
would,
on the top of the slope are not,
well, it wouldn't be trees all the way across, it would be maybe a clump of them,
Oh.
smaller ones at one end, so
Okay.
it would allow for some shading, but it wouldn't totally block off their view.
okay.
But anyways, I haven't gotten anything, so they were supposed to provide a plan for Plimpton Street. And I did get a modified plan for Clarkson Drive, with sort of a somewhat similar issue, that to put in the larger caliper trees in the wetlands, you would be digging up the wetlands to plant the trees, so they wanted to put in a smaller, so again, what I suggested was to put shrubs in the wetlands area that you could hand plant, and then to put trees further upland that would still provide shade to the wetlands, but you wouldn't be going into the wetlands digging big holes to put in 2.53 caliper trees. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, they'll grow.
They'll grow.
I thought the original reason that they cleared it, though, they didn't want trees too close to the house.
I don't know what they were doing, honestly. 'cause they-
Okay.
Okay, anything else
They
then?
cleared an awful lot of trees. Not on their property, not all on their property. I think they might have had a little more. Yeah, what they wanted to do.
Anything else?
Nope, those are so Pinnacle Mill Complex appeal. We did have a site walk, the judge came to the site and had a site walk, told all of us that were there not to come with him, he was going by himself. So he went down and walked all over the site, came back up, and, Jack and me and the town council and the applicant's council and the applicant and variety
Mobbed
of
him?
other different
Mobbed
people. We just stood
Oh.
up at the top and talked.
But when is the decision gonna be?
I think it's gonna be soon.
Okay.
Whenever he gets around to, the judge gets around to putting it together.
Yeah.
He made the visit, so I would
Right.
think that was what he needed to do to at least be able to put together what people have presented to see, so anyhow.
Right, and then Warwick Road, that appeal is still with is with the, Office of Appeals and Dispute Resolution as well, and we're still waiting to hear from them. It's my understanding that the select board, heard his application for a road opening permit and to work within the town's right-of-way to extend Warwick Road. They told him that they weren't gonna make a decision until the planning board made a decision. Then they went to the planning board last Thursday, and planning board denied it, so it's not getting far. But we haven't heard it, and the decision from the Office of Appeals and Dispute Resolution is if the applications that were submitted to the town, the first one I didn't accept because it was incomplete, and DEP agreed with me, and the second one was submitted, but it wasn't scheduled for a public hearing within the 21 days, so he appealed that as well. And then they agreed that both of those appeals should really be together because they have the same issues. If they didn't have a signature of the town to work within the town's right away within on the town land. So, which they still don't, so I'm not sure what the Office of Appeals and Dispute Resolution will do with it.
Okay. And you did send a notice of non-compliance to Mr. Petrosi on the work that was done on Pinnacle Drive?
Yes, I did. Yep, sent that as, for the work of cutting within the riverfront area, large areas, much larger than is common practice when going out to a site to do engineering, design, soil tests. It's,
No. That's it?
Well, that's it for that category. I wanted to talk about.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. We have another thing on the agenda. Oh, and the wetlands filing fee expenditure, so I gave you a copy, Jack. The Board of Selectmen did approve the 15,000 for that account.
They approved it,
They-
okay.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
copy of that in
Okay.
your packet.
Good.
And Josh is gonna learn a lot about our hearings by reviewing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, so
Wow.
keep him busy.
It's the only way to learn. Crazy.
Should know our names by the time you're done.
That's the goal.
Well, We thank you for joining us, and hope you enjoy your work with us.
Thanks for having me.
And, okay, what else have we got?
Well, Betsy wanted
Betsy
to talk
wanted to
about
talk,
the Mansion Drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope that other people are interested too. When the Toll Brothers put their houses on the top of the hill where the Bird Mansion had been, overlooking the Bird Mill, they did a fairly tight development with the understanding that there would be open space. And then there was a little to-do after the Bird Mansion burned down about making a sort of a bird family memorial up where the Bird Mansion was, which there is. It's like a circular kind of a thing. I mean, it's not as nice as it could be, but okay, there's something up there. And the access was to be up the steps that the Birds used to use to get up to their mansion from Washington Street. And that's the way it's been for the last, how many years ago was that thing completed? The last 15 years or so?
at least.
Okay, so that's the way it's been the last 15 years. I've been up those steps, maybe other people have too. Recently, there's been a no trespassing sign put on it. I'm thinking it might be the homeowners association, and 15 years is a long time, it could be new people, they might be going, what's going on here? So I think that the no trespassing sign should come down, but I actually think the hard part is contacting the homeowners association, figuring out who the contact is, figuring out, because it's a huge development up there, but, I mean, to me, it shouldn't, that sign should come down, and they should understand that this was part of the whole agreement. It's really tight zoning with open space, with a bird memorial at the top of the hill.
We're in this,
What?
where's this on this?
Well, I don't know if it's, let's see if it's on this. Yeah, see the little circle there?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then this is Washington Street here, this is Hollingsworth and Bose.
This is the old Bird Mansion Foundation?
Yeah, there's an old, well, I don't know if you can see the foundation.
You can see the foundation.
Oh, you can?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's
And,
point to it again, please. Right there. Mhm.
yeah.
Got a good eye.
And so there's, so they had like a steps going up And there's some old rhododendrons. I mean, it's all full of brush now. I mean, it's like whatever they had for a garden. But the idea is you could get up to the, straight up to the little memorial thing on this,
Which here is the access.
on the steps. That's where they put the no trespassing, very, very recently, like within the last week or so. Within the last week or so.
Okay, one other thing, that this,
Oh, goodness.
this,
Let's
the
not look at
old
that.
mansion lot is under conservation restriction.
It is.
right? That is, and the Conservation Commission is the holder of that
Right.
restriction. So-
Furthermore, the Historical Commission was all over this too, although they don't usually hold restrictions, they don't have that kind of power. But they're the ones that are like, okay, we've got to have a bird memorial, we've got to do something with this. So all of that was in place 15 or 20 years ago, it's just that people have forgotten, I guess.
Well,
So,
When did the mansion burn down?
oh goodness, when did it burn down?
Oh.
2000s?
At least over 20.
Mansion became engulfed in flames Tuesday night, November 29th, 2000.
I was gonna say
Okay.
it was around 2000, yeah.
I remember driving
Over
home.
20 years ago.
I was on 95, driving home, and you could see the glow.
Oh dear. Eh,
Anyhow, I think Betsy makes a good point that that should be, the no trespassing sign should be removed, and they should be aware that it is, and I believe that conservation restriction, I read part of it, and that it's to be kept open to the public.
Yeah,
So I think we need to remind, first of all, remind the homeowners association of the nature of the conservation restriction, and that any, trespassing signs they may have put up need to be removed. And we note that there is one
yeah.
on, from where it
I
is.
think maybe we need to review this a little
Okay,
better.
what does it
I
say?
apologize. So,
It was a bunch, okay. The conservation restriction granted to the residents of Bird subdivision, granted to the grantee as representative of the right to any portion of the premises at reasonable times, a reasonable manner, the purpose of inspecting same, determine compliance herewith, the person taking any and all actions. And granted to the public the right to use the trail easements, that's another one. So I thought there was something,
well, look
That
at
says-
number 5.
yeah, okay. Yeah. Granted to all residents of Bird subdivision and their guests and other persons who obtain written license from the grantor the right to enter Bird Family Memorial Area shown in the open space plan for historical enjoyment and study.
So that's a little more obscure than
That
we
is,
thought. right?
okay, yeah.
Well, there's another,
Written from whom?
I
I mean, the whole idea of the bird memorial is that, which I think that,
So maybe we just need to clarify a little bit what, because
Yeah.
it's a very robust and complex CR.
okay, but as you pointed out, it's extremely difficult to figure out who the current homeowners association people are. Right, Landis? So I mean, the project is to figure out to whom to address.
Yeah, I think we need to clarify, one, to find the, who the contact for the homeowners association is,
Yeah.
and two, exactly what the rights of the public are through the CR to access that property.
Okay. I'm just gonna say, from what my recollection is, they didn't stick a memorial up at the top of the hill so that you had to have written permission from.
Yeah, but you have to go by the legal document that
Yeah,
was.
but that does, it just, vague is the word for it, but definitive not. Definitive seemed like here, this is your open space, it's open to the public, you have a conservation restriction on it, you have an easement, and you've got a clear steps that go up to it from the street. I don't think anyone thought otherwise.
I don't know,
I don't remember who's supposed to maintain it.
That's a whole different thing. That's what I thought was controversial, who's supposed to maintain it. That to me was the controversial part.
Well, again, it's granted to the grantee and its representatives the right to enter any portion of the premises at reasonable times and in reasonable manner. So no trespassing sign.
It really says no trespassing, private property.
I think we should, I think that,
And the other thing I'll point out is if you've ever been up there, it really is the only access for the public. I mean, there's a gigantic bizarre retention basin there, you can see it. No, actually, you can't see it on that. But you can't walk past that thing, and you can't cut in between people's houses, even though there might be a little sort of a place. You know how it is in a development, like, maybe in theory you could, but are you really gonna do that? This is actually the public access up from the street to get in there.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it looks like a giant area, but it's all surrounded by houses,
and these lots are small because
Yeah.
they were,
because there's an
they
open
they
space.
created additional open space areas in the total subdivision in response to making the lots smaller than, say, they had to
Yep.
lay out a subdivision with so many lots under the standard zoning requirements for lot size.
Right.
And then they could reduce it and take that area they saved and make that open space.
Right.
So that's why the lots are small and the houses are close together. But I read this, again, it says the grantee is represented the right to enter any portion of the premises at reasonable times, reasonable manner. So I think we have the right to enter that.
And
I don't see how
15
they
years
can-
ago, when the memorial was being set up, would have been the time to go, oh, but you guys actually can't go up here. I mean, I think it was even open to some mini fanfare, you know, the usual Walpole thing, right?
Is there any way, how would you suggest we find out who the homeowners association is so we can
Well,
address that?
that's what I asked Landis today, and Landis told me the bad news, that it's extremely difficult to figure out who's in the homeowners association.
Do we get any
So-
reports or anything?
Right, so when there was the issue with the clearing that was occurring within the open space area, it was difficult to find out who the person was, but it's not impossible. It's
Did you-
just, I guess what I was referring to, I couldn't just open up a drawer or go into
Right.
my computer and poof, there it was, so.
Well, it might take a
we'll
little bit,
figure-
maybe, if
It
you
has
go
to
to,
be figured out.
if you go to the last person and go, please, you know, did you put up the sign, take the sign down, if it's not you, who's the head person in the homeowners association, I guess.
Okay, why don't we first find out who the
Yeah.
homeowners association
Yeah, we can do
is,
that.
who
Like,
the
what if there was a
contact is.
massive problem with the drainage basin, which itself is massive, you know, I mean, you'd have to go to somebody, right? So, I know this is not as urgent as the massive drainage basin, but,
I guess I'll backtrack. When I said it's difficult, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just, like I said, when you came into my office today, it wasn't like, oh, here it is. So
yeah, okay.
it just needs to be figured out. And that's unfortunately a common occurrence all over town, that there's no way to get people, when people buy and sell houses and move in and out of areas that have homeowners associations, to let the town know who the next contact person is. So there's a couple times this has turned into an issue, but, you know, eventually we track them down, so. I will
Yeah,
see if,
see what we
you know,
can find out.
DPW may have a person, or may know, or, the building commissioner may know. I'll ask a couple of different departments. I'm not convinced that this is, now that I'm reading other sections, that this is public access to everybody. Grantee being the commission, not public, but, so I think that needs to be clarified a little bit. See about that too.
Okay. All right,
Oh, well, okay, I'm just gonna, just to be argumentative, so they made that little bird memorial just for the folks up in the Toll Brothers estate who aren't even from Walpole, most of them? No, they made it for the people who, you know, live in East Walpole, who wanted to memorialize the birds that built East Walpole, blah, blah, blah.
Right, and I guess it would, if it does say to get written permission to go access these sites, then, yeah, then we need to know who to get written permission to.
Oh,
So as part of the document.
Actually, I don't want to
that should
default
be
to that.
needed as
To me,
also.
there was never written permission going on with
I
that
don't-
thing.
Yeah, we'll look into it,
Yeah.
Betsy, don't worry.
okay. So we'll find out first what the, if we can get hold of a homeowners association.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Don't run off. Okay. Anything else? Did you have something else?
No?
Oh, okay. All right, are we ready? Okay, someone make a motion to close the hearing?
Move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That was Dean a second.
Thank you.
Don't run off.